All right, let's get to our next story. Look, I'm sure you've heard by now, if you may have heard Elias this morning talking to the mom in question, but then last week I believe Andrew Carter had on her show, right? So this is a mother out in Roxboro dealing with MS, with multiple sclerosis, and her kids, two little boys, deciding to do their part. I think the oldest one is only 11. To help raise money for MS, which is a nice thing to do. Their mother is obviously suffering from the disease. They have to live with this every day. They want to help other people, not just their mom, other people who find themselves in a similar situation. All in all, it was a pretty nice story, right? Kind of thing we hear
Very
every now and then.
Well, it started out nice, let's say.
But it did not end quite the same way. And we'll talk more about this when I get to our question of the day in a sec. But so I want to right now kind of just give you the rough details here, right? Her kids were out on the street selling lemonade, on their own lawn, on their own property, selling lemonade to raise some money. Some disgruntled neighbor, apparently, some passerby decides he doesn't like this idea at 10:30 in the morning. They have a megaphone with them, and he threatens to call police and does. Police show up, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, from my understanding. And it gets a little nasty at the end. The woman is threatened, apparently, according to her, with arrest. She's not arrested. She's not even ticketed at the end of all this. But it seems a pretty big black eye for the police out in Roxboro. So we wanted to get a take from the mayor out in Pierre from Roxboro, Jim Beis, and try to understand where this is going now or where this goes next. And Jim Beis very kindly has taken some time out from his afternoon today to be with us. Jim, thanks so much.
Not at all. Thanks for having me, Aaron.
So, Jim, let's start off with the facts. I've given a quick summary here. Everything in there seem right from what I've said?
Well, look, this is what I know as well. I mean, they're up the street from where I live, and I passed by yesterday. Everything seemed to be going well. There were cars stopping. The kids were happy. They were engaged, participating in a community project, as we've seen since we were kids throughout really any neighborhood that you would go by, right? This stems from what I understand, and I spoke to the commander earlier today. Yes, there was a complaint for noise, nuisance, for example. The megaphone was used by the children, and so that was the issue from what I understand and from what I've read. Now, the police that came on site, of course, intervened and asked them to stop using the megaphone, which I do understand they stopped, because that was really the issue. The issue wasn't even the lemonade stand. The issue was that they were using a megaphone, and this neighbor or someone on the street wasn't happy about it, and they were the ones that called the police. What happened after that? I mean, if I was to go with what I've read on social media and what I've heard, I mean, if the intervention was strong-armed or strong-handed, if you will, certainly I would never have approached it in that way. But I don't know the circumstances on site more than that. All I can say is that, we always want children to be involved and engaged, participating in some civic project. And here you have this situation, and I think they're to be congratulated for their efforts. But more than that, I spoke to the commander, and they told me that they intervened simply because there was a complaint.
Okay, I don't think anyone is questioning necessarily the intervention, right? It's the nature of that intervention, and we're going to have some clips here from the mom. And I want to be very careful in saying this is according to the mother, because we know this to be her accounting. Maybe it's not the same from the police's side. But, Jim, you talked to the police commander out there. He's satisfied with the way this was handled?
Look, I did, and as a matter of fact, at our council meeting tonight, he has his summary that he brings to us every month, talk about the borough and some of the issues. And I plan to ask him openly, at council, to give us sort of a summary of what happened. So I think it's clear for everybody, at least their perspective and what exactly happened on the SPVM side. And so I'm going to give him that opportunity at our public council meeting to be able to address the issue.
So it sounds to me, Mayor, like things escalated very quickly. And again, we weren't there. We didn't witness it. We're going with we've only heard the mother's account. As you said, you'll hear the other side this evening in greater detail. But if it did escalate, and if indeed the mom, she says she did behave a little bit aggressively, but, coming to the defense of her sons, isn't it the police's job to de-escalate that situation? And it doesn't sound to me like that's what happened here.
Well, certainly that is what we hope for. I mean, not only have I been elected for all these years, but I mean, I've been in city administration for decades, and that is the ultimate goal, whether you're a police officer or a city official. I mean, that's really what you want. You don't want to get into these types of altercations because they never end well, And so is this one of those cases? Hopefully we'll find out a little more information. My goal is to make sure that we find out what happened, that it hopefully doesn't happen again. And if there is an additional intervention that has to be done with the family, well, then to do that, because that's the most important part. You know, children, when we do things as kids, we never want to break their spirit and, stop them from doing something that they feel is to benefit, especially in this case, their mother. And I mean, if this is one of those cases, well, certainly, we need to come back a little bit and reflect on the situation and then try to make amends one way or the other. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, I think, that I've done in my life, and hopefully this is what's going to come out of it. And again, the concern that I would only have as a mayor of a community would be where exactly this lemonade stand would be, and to work, as I mentioned to the mom, that I would meet with her if she wanted, and we could look at maybe some solutions in terms of where we can place this.
But I mean, honestly, not to interrupt, but even if it was in the street, I mean, okay, that's wrong. Ask them to move it or whatever. To me, the location of the stand doesn't matter at all, really.
Well, it does when you have it on a main artery, for example, and you have a lot of traffic in that area. I mean, that needs to be looked at when you look at the safety issues. But again, these things would never come to light because we see them throughout every community and every neighborhood working without any issues, and the only reason we find ourselves here today, almost in a lemonade gate, if you will, is for the fact that there was a complaint and then there was this intervention that happened that didn't go as smoothly as we would have liked.
Yeah. Sure. I think we can all understand that if someone is going to file a complaint, the necessity is for the authorities to follow up. No one's disputing that necessarily. Have you had, Jim, a chance to talk to the mother involved here at all
I
yet?
did, yeah. Like I said, I mean, they live up the street from me. I went for a drive up there yesterday. I sat around for quite a while on their property. I chatted with some of the neighbors, with her who I knew, before. I spoke to the children. I bought lemonade myself, trying to support their initiative. So again, all in all, it was well organized and it ran smoothly, and there were residents that were coming by. So, in a nutshell, when you look at it, it was good. I mean, to me, it looked fine. But I wasn't there either when this whole altercation took place, really.
I think people love hearing the idea that a suburban mayor actually went to the trouble of going, talking to the mom, talking to the people, because he happens to live there.
That's great.
That in and of itself is wonderful to hear, Jim.
Now,
so
what I'm really hoping can happen next is some sort of, I don't know, like an outreach program, because I worry about not just this family, but the boys, right? The boys in particular. Yes, the mom, it's a very unpleasant situation, and she has MS, and our heart goes out to her, but I'm feeling for these kids who are just trying to do some good. Exactly what you were saying, Mayor. So is there some hope that the SPVM might get back in touch with this family and try to kind of make amends?
Well, I'm going to request that, but I can tell you, if someone that's been here for many, many years, the SPVM here, particularly in my borough, and the officers and our community officers that we have as well, do an extraordinary job. And they do that outreach on a regular basis, not only with the community, but with the organizations as well. And so I have real high hopes that this will occur and put sort of some peace to this incident and put it behind us and move forward. And that is something that I will also request that takes place, and hopefully that'll happen.
All right. Jim Beis, the mayor of Pierrefonds Roxboro. Thanks so much for the time, Jim. We do appreciate it.
All right. Be well, both.
Take care.
You
there
too.
you go. So that's the situation from the perspective of the mayor. I want to get your take on this. I heard Elias talking about it this morning, and I heard some calls, honestly, that made me sit back and go, what? As in, are you understanding what's going on here with respect to who's to blame?
And I got to say again, and I don't care where the lemon, if it's in a dangerous spot, fine. But if it's even not on her property, ask them to move. Okay. There's a way to do these things in a civilized
question. Sure. And
manner.
That's not what happened here.
One jerk, right, called the police, and then it didn't go well from there. So thanks a lot, jerk.
Okay. I think we know how you feel. We're going to find out how everybody else feels when I pose the question, which we will do in just a sec, so stick around.